In response to COVID-19, PSP is offering telefitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the telefitness classes tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel become accessible to all. Prior to participating in this session, and to make an informed decision on whether you should seek advice from a qualified exercise professional or healthcare provider, consult the Get Active Questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference document by clicking on the links below. By continuing with this telefitness class, you understand that there is a possibility of physical injury and you agree that you do so voluntarily at your own risk. You also assume all risk of injury and agree to release the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services from any and all claims related to your participation in this telefitness class.
Hi everyone, my name is Deidre Myler and I'm a military fitness and sports instructor in Garrison, Petawawa. Today we're going to be doing a yoga flow, so take it at your own pace, take rest when you need it, and you don't really need anything besides an open space, a yoga block if you need to for any of the balance postures, and maybe a glass of water. Alright, so before we get started, I'm going to show you two of the different resting postures that you can choose from today. So one is just going to be in a seated position, sitting on your heels, and your palms can be resting on the knees, keeping the chest nice and tall, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. So this will be option one at any time that you need to take a rest, or option two, you'll come into a wide-legged child's pose. So sitting back on your heels, knees are going to be nice and wide so that you can rest your stomach down in between your legs. And then you'll curl your hands out as far as you can, keeping your elbows lifted off the mat, and then resting your head down in between your arms. So at any point in time you feel like you need to take a break, those are going to be your two options for today. So we'll get started. Alright, you're going to come down onto your back, letting your legs go out nice and long, and your arms are going to be down beside the body with your palms facing up, or you can bring your arms out into a T. Whatever's going to be most comfortable for you. Taking a little bit of time to calm the mind and the body. Letting your shoulder blades sink into the mat. Letting your toes roll open to either edge. And starting by taking a full body scan. Starting from the crown of the head, the face, moving down through the neck and the shoulders, all the way down your arms to your fingertips. Moving through the torso, to your hips, down your thighs and the backs of your legs, your knees, shins and calves, and then moving from your ankles all the way to the tips of your toes. Just taking a scan to see if you're feeling any discomfort or pain anywhere, and keep that in mind throughout the entire class. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. 2 more breaths. Try not to rush it. Starting to wiggle out through the fingers and toes. Maybe rolling through the wrists and the ankles. And then bring your legs together and point the toes towards the front of the room and sweep your arms back behind your head. Interlacing your fingers, take 1 big breath in and stretch as long as you can. Arms pull one direction and toes pull the other direction. Exhale, soften to the floor. One more time, 1 big inhale, holding at the top. Stretch as long as you can. Exhale, let it all go. Tuck your knees into your chest, coming into a little ball. Option to stay still or rock side to side, massaging out through the low back. Coming through stillness, you're going to keep your right knee tucked in and extend your left leg straight out to the floor. Keeping both feet engaged, you want to pull your toes back towards your shins. Holding space here. And then slowly start to bring some small circles into that right hip. You're going to go outwards 3 times. Once you finish your 3rd rotation, your knees back towards your chest, you're going to switch towards the other way, moving 3 times. Once you finish your 3rd time, you're going to bend in through your left knee and plant your foot on the floor and extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Hands can be behind the back of the leg, or they can come up to reach towards the ankle. Still flexing those toes back towards your forehead or the shin. And if you've decided to bring your hands back onto your calf, you're just going to lower the hands down back behind your thigh. And then a couple times, slowly bending through the knee, bringing the foot towards the glute. And then extending the legs straight back towards the ceiling. Moving through 5 times, nice and slow. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to bring the leg back towards the glute. Once you finish your last one, keep your leg extended up in the sky. And then coming through figure 4, taking your right ankle to your left knee. First, we're just going to keep the left leg planted and push your right hand into your right knee and try to kind of pull your right foot back towards your body. Just creating a small opening into the hips. And then if this is enough for you, you can stay here, or keeping the hands in the same position, you can elevate that left foot. Option to stay here or interlace your hands behind your left leg. Opening through the hips. you've elevated the left foot, plant it back down to the mat, and then fully cross your right leg over your left leg. Hips are gonna move over to the right, and knees are gonna drop down to the left. Arms are coming into a T, and gaze is gonna be over your right shoulder. Gaze comes back through center, knees come back through center, uncrossing the knees, bring both knees back in towards the chest, and find that small rock again. Coming back through stillness, keeping the left knee tucked in this time, with control, lower down the right leg. Keeping both of the toes active, pulling the toes back towards both shins. Holding here for a moment, and then coming back into those hip circles, slowly guiding the left hip through 3 rotations outwards. And then on your last one, switching directions, same thing. On your last one, keep the knee tucked in for a moment. And then bending into the right leg, plant the foot on the mat, extend your left leg straight up. Again, finding that position that's comfortable for you. So either behind the back of the leg or coming up onto the calf or ankle. If you've brought your hands to the back of your calf or ankle, slowly bring them down to the back of the leg. And then coming through, lowering and extending that left leg 5 times. Inhale to lengthen the leg. And exhale to bring it closer to the butt. On your last one, you're going to fully extend that leg up to hold. And then taking your left ankle to your right knee this time, still flexing the toes back towards the shin. You're going to press into that left leg and then holding on to your foot, creating that opening through the hip. If this is enough for you, you can stay here or you can elevate that right leg. If this is good for you, stay here or take your hands and interlace them behind your left leg. Slowly lowering your right foot back to the floor. Fully cross the left leg over the right leg. Hips move to the left this time. Knees are gonna drop down to the right. Arms are coming back into that T, and gaze is coming over the left shoulder this time. Gaze comes back through center. Knees come back through center. Uncrossing the knees. Hugging both knees into the chest just for a moment. And then placing both feet down onto the mat. Feet are going to be about hip distance apart, and you want to be able to touch your heels with your fingertips. We're going to come through a bridge, so on the inhale, you're going to lift up the hips, pressing through the heels. And then slowly lowering down, tapping the glutes off the floor. Inhale, rise right back up. Slowly lowering down, exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise up to hold. Firmly pressing the hands and heels into the floor. Chin is tucked to the chest. Keeping a constant breath coming in through the nose and out through the mouth. Holding for 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Try to pull the glutes up a little bit higher. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Pausing in a moment of stillness. Setting up in a dead bug position. Hips and knees are going to be bent at 90 degrees, and your fingertips are going to point up towards the ceiling. From here, pressing your low back into the floor, gaze is straight up at the ceiling. You're going to extend your right arm back and your left leg forward. Pausing at the bottom of the movement, and then coming right back through center, extend left arm, right leg. Back through center, and switch. Center, switch. Center. 3 more on either side. Keeping that low back pressed into the floor, engaging through the core. 2 more on either side. Last one on either side. Take the hands behind the back of the legs and rock the length of the spine 2 or 3 times, and then come up into a seated position at the top of your mat. Crossing the legs, planting the hands down to the mat, flip over onto the knees. Sitting back on your heels. Inhale, reaching both arms up. Exhale, your right hand is going to come down to the floor, reaching slightly away from the body. You're going to reach over with your left hand to create an opening through that left side of the body. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, left hand comes down. Right hand reaches up and over. Inhale, rising up, both arms come up. Exhale, both arms come down. You're going to plant both hands down to the floor and pick the hips up so that you're in a tabletop position. Hips and knees are bent at 90 degrees. Wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders. You're going to start by dropping the belly down and extend the gaze up to the ceiling. Tuck the chin to the chest and round the back. Drop the belly, extend the gaze. Tuck the chin, round the back. Firmly pressing your palms into the floor, getting that full extension of the arms. Drop the belly, extend the gaze. Tuck the chin, around the back. Coming back through a neutral spine, you're going to pivot onto your left toes so that your toes come off the mat. And then you're going to step your right foot to the back of the mat, coming through a variation of side plank, elevating your right arm up and overhead. Your arms should be in a T position, so try not to open up too much that your rib cage is opening. Keep one straight line from the top of the tip of your fingers down to your wrist of your left hand. Slowly closing up, back leg steps forward, other foot pivots. From here, coming over to the right side, step the left foot back, and then opening up. Top hand floats down, back leg pivots in. From here, tucking the toes under, you're going to press up and back, downward facing dog. Option 2, pedal out through either of the legs a couple times. Bring a little bit of movement into your first downward facing dog. Coming through stillness, gazes at your knees or your belly button. Feet are hip distance apart, toes are pointing forward. Hands are shoulder width apart. Fingers are wide. Fingers are pointing forward. Rooting down through the hands and the feet. Gaze is coming between the thumbs. You're going to bend the knees and then walk the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to keep your hands planted on the floor. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms come up overhead. Maybe your palms touch, or maybe they don't. Exhale, hands float down beside the body. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold, and step back to a high plank to hold. Going all the way down to the floor or to a hover. And then pull the chest forward, coming through cobra or upward facing dog. Cobra, you're going to keep your thighs planted on the floor. Upward facing dog, you're firmly pressing to the tops of the feet so that your thighs lift off the floor. Gaze can be forward, or you can look up. Tuck the chin to the chest, downward facing dog. Holding here for 4 more breaths. Controlling the breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Last breath in. Bend the knees, step to the top of the mat, or step both feet individually. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, planting the hands. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands float down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold, plant the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back to your plank. Right away, moving to lower through all the way, or a hover, coming through cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the chin, exhale, down dog. Holding for 5 breaths. Gaze at the knees or the belly button. Two more breaths. Gaze comes forward, step your feet slowly, or step one foot, then the other to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, planting the hands. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands float down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold, plant the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step or float back and lower into your push-up. Pulling the chest forward, cobra or upward dog. Tuck the chin, downward facing dog. Holding for 2 more breaths here. Gaze comes forward, stepping the feet or hopping to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, arms float down. Sink the hips, arms rise up overhead, coming through chair pose, holding for just 3 breaths. Try to reach your arms up as high as they can, and then rolling your thighs out. So you want to screw your feet into the floor so your knees aren't collapsing in at all. Inhale, come a little longer. Exhale, fold, plant the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, stepping back to your plank. So shifting your weight forward slightly, lowering to all the way or a hover. Pull the chest forward, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the chin, downward facing dog. Right foot lifts. Keeping the toes and knees square to the mat. Bend the knee forward to step the foot in between your hands. Inhale, rising up, crescent lunge. Gaze is forward, core is engaged. Try not to open up through the rib cage, keeping that engagement. And trying to scissor your legs together, creating that engagement through the front and back leg. Planting the hands to shadow the front foot. Step your front foot back. Lower down all the way or to hover. Pulling the chest forward. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Left foot rises. Take a look back at your toes and knee. Make sure that they're pointing towards the floor. Bend the knee, roll forward. Step the foot between the hands. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, planting the hands towards the front of the mat. Step the foot back. Lower down to hover or all the way. Pull the chest forward. Cobra or up dog. Tuck the chin, downward facing dog. Holding here for 3. Gaze comes forward, bend the knees, stepping lightly to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sitting down in your chair, arms reach up and overhead. Locking those feet into the floor. Inhale, reaching up all the way. Exhale, arms float down. One more time, just like that. Inhale, sitting down in your chair, arms reach up and overhead. Holding here for 3. Exhale, planting the hands to the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, planting the hands, step back to your plank. Inhale, slowly lowering all the way or to hover. Pulling the chest forward, cobra or upward facing dog. Tuck the chin, exhale, down dog. Right foot lifts. Bend the knee, rolling forward, step the foot through the hands. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands plant down. Step your foot back. Lower down. Pulling the chest forward. Cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot lifts. Bend the knee. Slowly roll forward. Plant the foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands plant down. Step your front foot back. Lower down. Pulling the chest forward. Tuck the chin, down dog. Holding here for 3 breaths. Gaze comes forward, bend the knees, step lightly to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, palms are planted. Inhale, coming back to your chair, arms rise up and overhead. Core is engaged. Inhale, standing up. Exhale, arms float down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands and step back to your plank. Lowering to a hover or all the way. Pulling the chest forward. Cobra or up dog. Tuck the chin. Downward facing dog. Right foot rises. Bend the knee, rolling forward. Step the hand between the feet. And then lower your back knee. You might need to scoot your legs slightly back. Inhale, rising up. Arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands float down to frame the front foot. Exhale, rolling back to flex your front toes back towards your shin. Coming through half split. Inhale, coming forward, picking up the back knee. You're going to open up to the right side, elevating your top hand. Again, try not to push the chest back. You want to keep a straight line from the tips of your top fingers all the way down to your left wrist. From here, you're going to pivot on to the outer edge of both feet and then slowly try to pull your right foot back towards your left. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to keep your front foot in front of your back foot. Or option 3, you're coming through a side plank, keeping your hips nice and tall. Slowly shifting your weight forward. Lower through a hover, pulling the chest forward. Tuck the chin, down dog. Top foot rises. Bend the knee, rolling forward. Plant the foot down. Scooch that back foot back a little bit. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands plant down. Inhale, shift the hips back. Exhale, coming forward, picking up the back knee, and then opening up towards that left knee. Slowly start to pivot onto the outer edge of both feet. And then option 1, option 2, or option 3. Choose what works best for you. Slowly shifting the hips and shoulders forward, lowering to a hover or all the way. Pull the chest forward, cobra or up dog. Tucking the chin, down dog. Knees comes forward, bend the knees, step or hop the feet forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, arms float down. Inhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, arms rise up overhead. Coming back to that chair pose. Exhale, hands plant underneath the shoulders. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, firmly keep those hands planted down. An option to stay here in your forward fold or come through a crow practice. Bring your big toes to touch and your heels slightly apart. You're going to bring your elbows to the back, the knees to the backs of your upper arms. From here, maybe you try to shift your weight forward by taking one foot off the ground or the other foot off the ground as well. But you want to keep your gaze forward the entire time. Look down, fall down. Look forward, stay up. So, thinking butt up, look forward. Butt up, look forward. Butt up, look forward. Holding for one more. And then option to step back to a plank, or you can shoot back. If you're shooting back, you want to land in the bottom of the push-up. Inhale, pulling the chest forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Pulling the legs together without actually moving them. Engaging through the legs, reaching your arms up nice and tall. Inhale, back foot pivots 90 degrees. Arms are floating down to either side of the body, fingertips pointing long. Gaze is over your front fingertips. From here, you're going to cartwheel your hands down to the top of the mat. Pivot your back toes to point forward. Step your front foot back. Lower to hover, or all the way down. Cobra or up dog. Tuck the chin, downward facing dog. Left leg rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up. Keeping that breath steady. Inhale, opening up, back foot pivots, 90. Arms come out nice and long, lunging firmly into that front leg. Fingertips are going long, and your gaze is over your front fingertips. Planting the hands down to the front of the mat, pivot the back toes, step your front foot back, lower down to hover, pulling the chest forward, tuck the chin, downward facing dog. Right foot rises. Step the foot through the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up, crescent lunge. Exhale, right away, opening up into your warrior two. From here, you're going to flip the front palm, back hand comes to the low back. And you're going to reach up and overhead, gaze is going to follow. Keeping that lunge into the front leg, opening up through the side body. Coming back through warrior two. Hands plant to the front of the mat, pivot the back toes, step your front foot back, lower to hover or other way. Cobra or upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left foot rises, step the foot through the hands, right away, inhale, rise up. Exhale, warrior two. Front palm flips, back hand to the low back, reaching up and overhead for peaceful warrior. Coming back through warrior two. Hands cartwheel down to the top of the mat, back toes pivot, step your front foot back, lower down, pulling the chest forward. Downward facing dog. Right foot rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rising up. Right away, opening up, warrior two. Flipping the front palm, back hand low back. Opening up for peaceful warrior. Coming back through warrior two. Straighten your front leg and reach forward as far as you can. Coming through triangle pose. You're going to hinge forward and reach down for the floor. Top fingertips are reaching towards the ceiling. Bending through your front knee, coming back through warrior two. Hands cartwheel down to the front of the mat. Pivot the back toes, stepping back to your plank, lowering down. Pulling the chest forward, downward facing dog. Left foot rises, step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, warrior two. Right away, flipping the front palm, back hand to the low back, reaching up and overhead for peaceful warrior. Coming back through warrior two, and then straightening that front leg, reaching forward until you can't reach anymore, and then hinging down for the floor. Top arm looks for the ceiling. Bending through the front knee, coming back through warrior two. Hands cartwheel down to the front of the mat. Back toes pivot. Step your front foot back. Lower to a hover. Pulling the chest forward. Downward facing dog. Right foot rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Crescent lunge. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Inhale, coming through peaceful warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Reach forward as far as you can, hinging into triangle. Coming back through warrior two, and then powering up to this front leg, you're going to come through flying warrior. Slowly hinging from the hips, squaring the shoulders and hips down to the floor. Coming through a version of warrior three. You're going to step your back foot slowly to the back of the mat, bending through that front knee. Finishing in your crescent lunge, reaching your arms up overhead. Hands plant down to the mat. Step your foot back, lowering down. Pull the chest forward. Downward facing dog. Left foot rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, opening up. Inhale, front palm flips, back into the low back, peaceful warrior. Back through warrior two, straightening the front leg, reaching forward, and then hinging for the floor. Inhale, coming back up, and then popping through flying warrior. Power up to this front leg. Drag the back toes, creating lots of strength with that standing leg, and then shifting the shoulders and hips to square to the mat. Version of warrior three. Slowly start to bend through that front knee, back toes find the back of the mat. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, plant the hands down, step your front foot back. Inhale, lower down. Pulling the chest forward. Downward facing dog. Great job, guys. We're almost there. Little change this time. Right foot elevates. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Rising up. Crescent lunge. Right away, opening up to warrior two, strong legs. Front palm flips. Back into the low back. Peaceful warrior. Coming through warrior two, straighten your front leg, reaching forward nice and far, hinging down to the floor. Inhale, coming back through center, bending through that front knee, and then straightening the leg again. Both toes are going to come to point the same direction. You're going to inhale and get nice and long. Exhale, forward fold. Hands are going to find the outer edges of your ankles. And you're trying to take your head in between your legs. If you can't do that, that's totally okay. Try to keep a nice micro bend in your knees so you're not completely locking them out. Hands are going to release from the ankles and you're going to curl the hands underneath the shoulders. Walk the hands forward so you can come into a halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale. Hands find the hips, rising up to a standing position. Front toes are going to pivot, opening back up into that warrior two. And then from here, we're going to pop open into half moon. So coming forward with your fingertips right in front of your front toes, and then powering up. This is maybe when you want to use that block under your front fingertips. Pressing firmly through your standing leg and your elevated leg. Fingertips are reaching up, not back. Good job, guys. Slowly bending through that front knee. Back toes find the back of the mat. Back hand to the low back, peaceful warrior. Warrior two. Hands cartwheel down. Step the foot back, lower down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Last side. Left foot rises. Step the foot through at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, open up. Front palm flips, back hand to the low back, moving through peaceful warrior. Coming through warrior two. Front leg straightens, reaching forward, hinging for the floor. Top arm reaching up. Bending to the front knee, opening up, warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Front toes flip to move the same way as the back toes. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Hands find the outer edges of the ankles. Hands are going to release from the ankles and come underneath your chest. And then curl the fingertips out until you can come into a halfway lift. Inhaling. And exhaling. Hands are going to find the hips. Inhale to come through standing. Exhale, opening up, warrior two. Hands are going to look for the front of the mat, coming up through that half moon. Powering through that front leg, opening up. Powering through the standing leg and the elevated leg. Top fingertips are firmly pointing up. Slowly bending through that front knee, back toes find the back of the mat, moving through that peaceful warrior. Opening up, warrior two. Hands are going to cartwheel to the front, stepping that foot back, lower to a hover all the way down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Drop the knees down to the floor. Cross the legs and sit down onto your butt. You're going to bring both legs straight out in front of you. You're going to sit up nice and tall. Fingertips beside your hips. Inhale, sitting up tall, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. Exhale here. Inhale, arms are going to reach up and overhead. Exhale, hands float down for the thighs, the shins, ankles, toes, whatever you can reach for. And try not to go past your limit. Inhale, half lift, lifting the chin. Exhale, folding. Inhale, crawling the fingertips back up to a seated position. You're going to take your right leg to bend. And you want to keep a little bit of space in between your left leg and your right foot. From here, you're going to open up into a twist. So you're going to take your your inner arm to your knee, and then taking your back hand behind your back here, you're going to look either straight directly in front of you, or you're going to come to look behind the shoulder. If this feels good for you, you're going to take your arm and bring it just behind your knee, creating a nice sensation of pressure from the knee and the arm pressing against each other to open up and deepen the twist. Slowly releasing. Staying with the same leg, you're going to take your knee down towards the floor. Inhale, sitting up nice and long. You're going to curl your fingertips down and fold one more time. Slowly rolling up. You're going to take your right hand behind your body and then roll over to your right side, opening up the hips for a light opening for that left side body. Dropping the hips down and then switching sides. Extend your right leg out, planting the left foot on the floor with a little bit of space between the right leg and left foot, and then opening up for that twist, hugging the knee, gazes forward or over your back shoulder. If this is not enough for you, taking that arm to the outer side of the knee, inhaling to get longer, and exhale to twist more. Slowly starting to unravel. That left knee is coming towards the floor, and the bottom of the foot is coming towards your inner thigh. Inhale, sit nice and tall. Exhale, folding forward. Slowly coming back up through a seated, taking your left hand behind the body and then pressing the hips up, arms come up and overhead. And then slowly coming back down. You're going to come back onto your back and taking a happy baby. You're going to bring your arms to the inner side of your knees and grab the outer edges of either your ankles or your feet. Pressing your low back into the floor. And just taking a moment here. Releasing both legs. You're going to come into one last bridge, holding just one for about 5 or 6 breaths. Feet are hip distance apart. Palms are pressing into the floor. On the inhale, you're going to press the hips straight up. Pressing through the glutes. Palms are firmly pressing down. Or you can take your palms to interlace behind your back and then roll your shoulder heads under and get a little bit more height. Chin is tucking to your chest. Keeping a smooth breath flowing in the nose and out of the mouth. Holding for 2 more. If you've clasped the hands together, slowly releasing, and then everyone lowering their hips down to the floor together. Pausing here in stillness, letting all the sensations erase from the body. And then extending your left leg out, your right leg out, and both arms coming into a T. Closing down the eyes. And coming back through that full body scan. Do you notice any differences from before we started the class until now? Did you listen to any of the sensations in your body that were maybe asking you to work a little harder or to slow it down? Did you keep pushing through? Taking notice of that now. And as we close out our practice today, I want you to set one intention for the rest of your day. Whether that is to be positive or get something done around the house or the yard. Whatever it may be, set it now. And then relaxing the mind. Just taking 1 or 2 moments in complete silence for you. Slowly bringing a little bit of awareness back into the body by wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe rolling out through the wrists and the ankles. And then bringing your legs tight together to point your toes towards the front of the room and your arms back behind your head. You're going to inhale one last time and extend as far as you possibly can. Holding at the top. Exhale, let it all go. One more time, inhale, lengthen. Holding at the top. Exhale, let it all go. Slowly come up into a seated position at the top of your mat. And then I want you to either bring your hands to the tops of your knees with your hands facing down or facing up, whatever is most comfortable for you. Closing down the eyes or keeping the gaze soft at the floor. We'll inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, bringing your palms to touch. Exhale, palms are going to come through heart center. I thank you all for practicing with me today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Namaste, and thank you.